Welcome back to another explainer. Today we're taking a deep dive into the fascinating Buddhist concept of Kamma. We're going to unpack some ancient parables to find some seriously practical wisdom. Whether you're deeply familiar with these texts or just kind of curious about how ancient philosophies map on to our modern lives, stick around, because we are going to explore the absolute mechanics of cause and effect through some truly captivating stories.
Okay, let's kick off this explainer by confronting a really profound question. It's one that completely shapes the universe of our source material today. Can you outrun the consequences of your own actions? I mean, it's a question humanity has wrestled with for literal millennia, right? And the text we're digging into today provides a crystal clear, uncompromising answer.
Let's start with part 1, the arrogant king, Suppabuddha.
We begin with a high-stakes case study. Meet the arrogant king Suppabuddha. Now, the king harbored a pretty bitter grudge against the Buddha. He hadn't forgotten that the Buddha, back when he was still a prince, abandoned the king's beloved daughter, Yasodhara, for a renunciant's life. So one day, knowing the Buddha and his disciples were entering the city for almsfood, the king got drunk. Fueled by the wine, he boldly marched out and literally blocked the Buddha's path. He proudly declared he absolutely would not make way for someone younger than he was. The Buddha didn't protest, he just calmly turned back. But the king wasn't done. He actually ordered a spy to follow the Buddha and report back. Once back at the monastery, the Buddha made a chilling prediction. The king had just created some serious bad karma, and very soon he was going to pay for it.
To really understand the sheer magnitude of the king's mistake here, we need to look at the absolute strictness of karma in these texts. This isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. Karma is the unbending, universal law of action and consequence. Every single action generates a corresponding reaction. And this stands in stark contrast to nibbana, which is the ultimate, deathless state, entirely free from sorrow, defilements, and this whole cycle of suffering.
Which brings us to part 2, the mechanics of Kamma.
To see just how unforgiving this cosmic ledger can be, let's look at the story of the cruel butcher. For years, this guy spent his life ruthlessly slaughtering pigs. But when he eventually fell gravely ill, his past actions manifested in a genuinely terrifying way. For days before he died, he literally crawled around his house on his hands and knees in pure agony. He was squealing and grunting exactly like the pigs he used to slaughter. It was so loud, in fact, that the monks at the nearby monastery heard him and just assumed he was back to his cruel work. But the Buddha clarified to them, nope, he wasn't slaughtering pigs. His bad karma had simply caught up with him.
So, here's the crucial takeaway. Karma isn't some mystical punishment handed down by an angry deity. It is a direct, inescapable echo of our own choices. The butcher's own cruelty literally became his final reality. The Buddha warned his disciples heavily about this. There is absolutely no way to outrun one's evil deeds. They always return to the doer.
Part 3, echoes of our actions.
In the incredibly dramatic story of Queen Samavati, we see a really powerful contrast. A wicked, jealous consort completely despised the Buddha and tried multiple times to destroy the pure Queen Samavati. Eventually, she even had her uncle set fire to the queen's quarters. But get this, as the building burned, the queen and her attendants didn't panic. They remained entirely mindful, meditating right there until they reached higher spiritual attainments before passing away. The Buddha later explained that the mindful do not truly die. They reach the deathless state. The wicked and unmindful, on the other hand, well, they're as good as dead even while they're still breathing.
But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. As we learned from the selfish rich man Bilalapadaka, positive actions work the exact same way. Initially, Bilalapadaka scoffed at small acts of charity. But the text gives us this absolutely beautiful metaphor: do not think lightly of doing good. Just as a water jar is filled up slowly by falling rain, drop by drop, the wise person is filled with merit by accumulating it little by little. Small daily actions matter immensely.
We see this ripple effect escalate with the bizarre story of the cloth baby. A woman faked a pregnancy to publicly defame the Buddha. She actually wrapped a bundle of cloth around her stomach, beat her own hands and feet to make them look swollen, and then interrupted the Buddha's teaching. She accused him of abandoning her and their supposed child. The Buddha just remained perfectly calm, and suddenly, the strings holding her disguise snapped, and the fake cloth baby literally fell to her feet. The text uses this to show that deception always unravels instantly, and those who carelessly lie are capable of any evil.
Moving on to part 4, the power of innocence.
So what happens when bad actions are directed at someone who is entirely pure? We see this vividly in the tragic yet profound story of the innocent monk. A gem polisher was handling raw meat when a royal messenger handed him a massive, priceless ruby. The polisher set the blood-stained ruby down, and his pet bird, thinking it was meat, swallowed it whole. The frantic polisher then wrongly accused an innocent monk who just happened to be visiting for almsfood. He bound the monk and beat him so severely that blood flowed from his head.
The ending of this story is really striking. The bird, attracted to the monk's blood, flew over, caught a stray blow from the angry polisher, and died. Only then did the monk reveal the bird had swallowed the gem. The polisher cut the bird open, found the ruby, and realized his horrifying mistake. The monk, completely free of ill will, passed into nibbana, while the polisher's rage basically doomed himself. It's beautifully summarized by this powerful quote from the Dhammapada. Like fine dust thrown against the wind, evil falls back upon the fool who offends a harmless man, one pure and innocent.
Part 5. An inescapable verdict.
Okay, now that we've established the unbending rules of the universe, let's check back in on our arrogant King Suppabuddha. Desperate to outsmart the Buddha's prophecy, the king's paranoia went into overdrive. He ordered his men to spy on the Buddha, commanded all his attendants and guards to be extra vigilant, and finally just hid himself away in total isolation in a tower. He honestly thought he was building an impenetrable fortress against his own fate. But the Buddha noted that it didn't matter if the king hid in a tower, up in the sky, out in the ocean, or deep in a cave. Nobody can escape the result of their Kamma.
And of course, his elaborate precautions were completely useless. Several days later, while sitting safely in his room, he heard his favorite horse neighing and kicking about wildly. In a sudden panic, he forgot all of his own security rules, rushed out to check on the horse, tripped, and tumbled down a flight of stairs to his death. And the text points out that upon his death, he was immediately reborn in hell. So no matter how hard he tried, he met the very doom he spent all his energy trying to avoid.
This climactic moment perfectly illustrates verse 128 of the Dhammapada. Not in the sky, nor in the middle of the ocean, nor in the cave of a mountain, nor anywhere else is there a place where one cannot be overcome by death. It is absolute. There is literally nowhere you can hide from the accumulated results of your own actions.
Finally, Part 6. Mastering Your Own Actions.
Knowing that our actions are this inescapable, how on earth should we navigate the inevitable conflicts of our daily lives? Well, the sources provide a brilliant strategy in the story of the abusive brothers. An angry Brahmin confronted the Buddha, hurling terrible verbal abuse at him. But instead of fighting back or getting defensive, the Buddha calmly asked the man a simple question about hospitality. He asked, if you offer food to a guest, and the guest leaves without eating it, who does the food belong to? The angry man admitted, well, the food would still belong to the host. The Buddha calmly replied that, in the exact same way, he refused to accept the man's abuse.
I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought to take away from this explainer. When negativity, anger, or abuse comes your way, if you consciously refuse to accept it, to whom does that burden ultimately belong? The law of karma suggests that if you just don't take the bait, the destructive energy remains entirely with the one who offered it. Thanks so much for joining me to explore these incredible insights, and I really hope this helps you build your own merit, drop by drop.